Check the description for the following discount codes. I was chatting to Mark at Lowdown Shifter the other week after I first tested this CSL DD on the Playseat challenge, and I mentioned about this flex we get on the wheel deck there that I'm sure you all saw in the video. And I was saying to him I spotted some cheap like braces on eBay that I was going to buy that literally go from here to the plate here to try and help stop that flex. And Mark said to me, "Carl, hold your horses, mate." He said, don't go buying that cheap eBay crap. He said, "I've literally got some stuff coming out in the next couple of weeks that does exactly that." Now, I've had Mark's stuff before and I know his quality's top notch. He's also a top guy. I'm like, well, in that case, eBay can go take a hike and I'll wait for yours to come over, Mark. So he sent me over this bracing system. There's two options. There's the standard reach one, and then there's the long reach one. Standard reach would affix to the front or the inside of your wheel deck, and the long reach, which is what you need if you're using a CSL DD, affixes to the back of the plate here. Now the reason you need the long reach is because the bolt holes on this wheel deck that just happen to match up with the CSL DD force you to have this wheel deck all the way back. There's nothing you can do about it. If you move it forward, you can't get to the bolt holes because it's then covered up by the bracket underneath. Now, previously I was using 3 bolts to hold this down, but when you get Mark's brace, I've partially installed this just to save some time. So this is the actual brace sort of main plate itself that goes across the back here like that, and it bolts down from 2 bolts from above, and then this comes in from the side here. And it's slotted so it's adjustable. And these are the little clamps that go around this sort of tubular piece here. So I've installed the other side, as I say, already. But yeah, so because they bolt down from the back here, using the existing holes, if you use 3 bolts to hold this CSL DD in, it sits just a ½ inch further back and covers those holes up. Now, the 2 options were fix this down with 2 bolts, which is what I've done today, and already I can see it's going to be perfectly fine. This is flexing. This CSL DD is not flexing away from the plate. The bolts are slap bang in the centre of the wheelbase, so that seems to be fine. You know, I think with the Playseat challenge, we're going to get flex everywhere else before we get this, you know, moving on just the 2 bolts that hold it down. It is a big rectangular base, so when it's cinched down in the middle, there isn't really anywhere for it to move anyway. So the other option is, of course, there's no hole in the middle of this brace that Mark's created, but you could bolt that in place and then just drill straight through the middle to use the 3rd hole that again just happens to be there on the Playseat challenge wheel deck. But I think it's going to be just fine. I haven't tried it yet. I think it's going to be just fine with the 2 that's holding it there now and then this brace on. So I'm going to install this now. I literally haven't tried it because I was saying to someone the other day, they said, where was I? I was at VR Sim in St Ives. And before I started filming, Matt said to me, "Carl, do you want to try it out, you know, before you get stuck in?" I said, "No," I said, "I'd like to give my impressions live sort of thing, you know, as they come to me. That's how I like to relay them in my videos because I think it's the most sort of honest and accurate representation of what's going on." Now this goes with your upright section on the inside, and so you can just slacken one off, remove one completely, and it will go around. Yeah, so that's why I'm doing this like this. Now in a perfect world, you would want these 2 to be exactly parallel with one another. It's not actually important because they are slotted, so if it isn't quite spot on, it doesn't matter, but the OCD inside me wants them to be exactly parallel, so I reckon it's probably not far off, something like that. I haven't tightened everything up super tight on the other side yet because I will go round once everything's in place, pardon me, and do it all up. So, Mark supplies you with some extra grips that go inside there, all the bolts, nuts, washers, and even a little Allen key as well. So everything's there that you need. Oh, and some little sort of Velcro-y cable tie type things. So let's get this actual plate Excuse my head being out of shot. It's just the way it's going to be for the moment. Let's get this actual main support brace in place. I did just leave it hanging down so that I could show you what it looked like. It's a pretty simple idea, really. The playseat can still fold away once this is attached, and it can still open and close. It doesn't affect that in any way. So that's good. And I can't see any reason why this won't totally get rid of that flex. Probably not totally, because that's impossible. It's still just a playseat challenge, but I imagine this will get rid of 90% of the flex we see, well, certainly in the wheel deck anyway. So that's one done up. I should have got myself a ratchet, really. It would have made life a little bit quicker, but still. Whoop. I actually remember asking in another video whether people would prefer to see me do stuff live like this or sped up, and everyone said they prefer to see me do it live. Now obviously for big cockpit builds that take like 2 hours, that would be far too long. But for little stuff like this, it's easy enough to do it live, isn't it? And if you get bored, you can always just play the video faster or skip in. So that's the 2 bolts done up that hold the main brace on. So now what we've got to do is get our side piece. Now the way I installed it and the way Mark's pictures show, you have a single hole at the top versus the slot. The slot goes down this end and the single hole in the top there, at least from memory. I think, Mark, that's how you had it. I did check the instructions. Just it was, I don't know, yesterday or something like that. But I'm pretty certain that's how it was. So that goes in there like that. And then down here, we've got this little insert that goes in there, I guess just to protect that piece there a little bit. And also what's good is Mark's included washers for everything. So many sim rigs and other bits and bobs I build here, no one seems to give you washers, which means you're just doing your bolts up hard against your aluminium profile cockpit or whatever cockpit it might be, or whatever other thing it might be. And I just don't like that. Washers, you know, they spread the load and they help protect the surface you're doing up against. So props to Mark for giving us a full complement of washers. Now, let's get everything done up nice and tight. And what I expect to see is the flex disappear from that wheel deck. And don't do these things up too tight. There's like I think this insert here, or space, is like perhaps nylon or a plastic of some sort. You don't want to go too mad. It only needs to be nipped up. Yeah, so what I expect to see is the flex disappear from here and in fact sort of translate to these arms here, which, you know, again, it's a playseat challenge. It's not going to be, I don't know, what am I doing here? It's upside down, so turn it this way. And there's a top tip. If you're doing something up or undoing something and it's upside down, turn your Allen key or spanner the opposite direction to what you normally would. That's the easiest way I find to remember it. So normally I'd be doing this clockwise to do it up, but because it's upside down, I'm turning it anti-clockwise from my viewpoint. This is the only other thing about doing assembly stuff like this live, is that I have to find stuff to waffle on about whilst I'm doing it. Otherwise it'd be a really quiet video. So that side's done up. Let's do this side up as well. We're almost there. And once I've done this up, I'll get inside and go for a little drive and we'll see how it actually performs. So they're tight, that's tight. I need to tighten the other one of these up on the other side. I think that's probably in the right place. This slotted adjustment here will kind of end up where it ends up, because you can't force the plate up and down. It wants to sit where it wants to sit. And the idea is these braces keep it there. But as I say, this extra reach kit, don't over tighten these here and here, because you will compress what's there. Right, so I'm just going to nip up, well, yeah, I haven't done that side. I'll just nip this up as well. And then we'll see how it looks on camera before I actually get in. I mean, yeah, already there is less flex, and it's translating its way down to here, which is what we expect. So just this one to do up here. Again, don't over tighten it. Right, everything is tight. Can you see me? You can. So yeah, we've got like almost no flex up here now, and instead it's sort of happening down here, which is what we expect. So I'm gonna plug this into the PC, get in, and we'll take it for a little spin and see how it looks in use. Right, that's all installed now. Sat in the seat here, I've just observed something that I should have thought about earlier. Whilst this has reduced the amount of flex in the plate, it could reduce it further with another simple modification. Because it's attached using one bolt here and one bolt here, both sides, bolts are cylindrical, they're round, they're a shaft. That means this support arm here can actually rotate like this. So as this wheel deck wants to flex downwards, the single bolt here and the single bolt here allow this arm to flex with it. Now obviously, having this here versus not having it here adds a measure of resistance to that flex, so it is still stiffer than it was. But this could be improved further by having perhaps some sort of, basically there needs to be a third point of attachment, whether it's a locking pin or something that goes through this piece here into this, but with just the two, it can articulate, if you know what I mean. So yes, it's still an improvement compared to not having it, but it could be even stiffer by having some sort of third point of contact to prevent them from articulating. But yeah, let's have a drive and see how it feels. I mean, in fairness, it didn't feel too bad anyway, but the less flex we can have, the better. It does feel noticeably stiffer actually, even just these few corners in. Wait, what happened there, Carl? As always, my driving is on point, but a good crash is a good way to show flex, and the force feedback is trying to move the wheel. Now, of course, this is the 8 Newton meter power supply, so we are running the maximum torque. I say 8 Newton meter power supply, 8 Newton meter power supply. It's not an 8 Newton meter power supply. It's the more powerful power supply, which is 180 watts or whatever it is, which gives us our full 8 Newton meters of torque that we can get at this wheelbase. Should stop calling it an 8 Newton meter power supply. I mean, that is what it facilitates, but you know what I mean. But anyway, as far as low down shifters mod, Mark's mod, it definitely reduces the wheelbase flex, or wheel deck flex. You can probably see it in the video. I'm trying to look at it at the same time, but that's not very easy. This is a perfectly usable experience, you know. If anyone's got a Playseat challenge and they're wondering, you know, whether they should get a CSL DD, the answer is yes, you definitely should. And if you want a bit less flex, you should also get Mark's mod here from lowdownshifter.com. Should be out, I think he says it's coming out around about the 11th. Yeah, I think it's at the 11th. So it may or may not already be out, depending on when this video goes up. But yeah, Mark, if you're watching, which I know you will be, and I'll give you some feedback in an email as well, an extra fixing point, even just a locking pin, to prevent the side rail articulating with the wheel deck will definitely make a difference. But again, in use, feels pretty solid. Oh, I'm gonna have another little moment. No, not quite. I don't know this track and I don't know this car. I don't even play Project Cars 2. It's just I happen to have this steering wheel on. So I thought I may as well play something that other than Dirt Rally. And what I'm actually gonna do soon is start a career mode in one of these sort of circuit-based racing sims, whether it's Assetto Corsa, whether it's ACC, whether it's Project Cars 2, I'm not sure yet. But I'm going to start a fresh career mode because I want to get into some more circuit-based racing. And you'll see why over the next coming videos, some changes happening to my rig that will make that sort of racing a lot more fun. But I may think about perhaps live streaming the career mode or something like that, or at least putting some videos up. Anyway, that's by the by. The main point is, do we get less flex with this? We certainly do. Unless you purposely get the wheel and tilt it forwards or tilt it backwards, when you're actually using it, there is much less flex in that wheel deck than there was before. And that is the objective of this brace from Mark at Lowdown Shifter. Now, it does ever so slightly come in to the cabin, I suppose, either side of your legs, but not enough to cause me any problems anyway. And you can still get in and out without any issues as well. So yes, thank you, Mark, for sending this over. Much appreciated. It will be staying affixed to my Playseat challenge. And as I say, if you did want to make it a little bit better, an extra fixing point so that these can't articulate would be even better. I mean, it's a Playseat challenge at the end of the day. We can't, there's always going to be some movement in something, isn't there? Anyway, yes, thank you very much for watching, guys. And as always, take it easy.